Dude, I gotta tell you what happened after I was with that girl. So, after we finished, I asked her, how many guys did you have before me? She didn't say anything. I asked again, hey, seriously, how many guys did you have before me? Still silence. I thought maybe she's too embarrassed to tell me. So I asked one more time just to be sure. Come on, how many guys? Then she finally shushed me and said, stop bothering me. I'm still counting. Now I gotta start all over again. Man, just imagine that, my friend. Joke. A horse and a donkey run into each other after 15 years. The horse asks, hey, where have you been? How's life? They chat a bit. Then the horse invites the donkey over to his place. The donkey arrives and is amazed. A huge mansion, swimming pools, fancy furniture, the best whiskey and wine on the table. The horse proudly shows off his medals and trophies. The donkey just quietly looks around. He lives in trailer, barely scraping by. A few days later, the donkey invites the horse to his place. The horse arrives and sees a small, shabby trailer. The donkey manages to make coffee and offers it. On the wall, there's a picture of a zebra. The horse points and asks, hey, who's that? The donkey smiles and says, that's me back in my younger days when I played baseball for New York Yankees. A group of parrots organize a protest at the zoo. They all gather together. Chaos, noise, total madness. A news crew arrives to film the scene. One reporter walks up to a parrot, puts a microphone in front of him, and asks, good afternoon, sir, what is the purpose of this gathering? The parrot stares at him for a few seconds, grabs a microphone and says, good afternoon, sir, what is the purpose of this gathering? A guy comes home early from work and walks into the house. His best friend is secretly hooking up with his wife. The guy is shocked, but they don't see him come in. So he quietly slips out the front yard, then walks back slowly, slamming the gate loudly so they can hear him. He coughs loudly on purpose as he walks back toward the house. He opens the door with a bang. Another warning. He walks into the living room. His wife and friend are sitting there drinking coffee, acting like nothing's wrong, pretending to be innocent. The guy says, hey, where have you been, man? I've been home all along. The friend replies, oh, same old stuff. The husband turns to his friend and says, hey, man, you messing around or something? The friend shrugs and says, yeah, here and there. The husband nods and says, man, go there. Not here.
Tar. He enters a cafe, and as he's walking in, he accidental immediately. The police arrive and arrest him. They take him straight to the judge. Ly pats a girl on the behind. The judge asks what happened. They say, he slapped the girl on the behind. The judge says, call Abdul, the big, muscular guy, about 1 meter tall. Don't be scared when you see him. Abdul arrives. The judge says, take this man and beat him for hours without stopping. The judge insists, take him. Abdul grabs him under one arm and drags him. At that moment, another criminal is brought in. The judge asks, what did he do? They say, he ran over a pedestrian with his car and didn't stop at a red light. The judge says, cut off both his legs. Abdul puts the second guy under his other arm, holding both prisoners. Then a third criminal is brought in. The judge asks, what about this one? They say, he stole from a store. The judge says, cut off both his hands. Abdul holds this guy under his other arm as well, now holding 3 prisoners. Just as they're about to leave, a fourth criminal is brought in. The judge asks, what did this one do? They say, he stole a car and ran over a person on the street. The judge says, cut off both his hands and legs. Abdul catches this guy with his other arm, holding 4 prisoners in total, and starts walking out. The Russian, being carried under Abdul's arm, whispers, hey Abdul, do you remember who you're supposed to take care of first? 2 Russians are sitting on a bench, sipping vodka. A stranger comes up and asks, hello, do you speak English? They both reply, no, no. Parlez-vous français? No, no. Parlez italiano? No, no. Sprechen Sie Deutsch? No, no. Hablan Español? No, no. The stranger shrugs and walks away. One Russian turns to the other and says, "Did you see that? The guy speaks 5 world languages." The other replies, "So what? Did that help him?" Hey dude, do you know when the most Americans died? No idea when. When they turned on the hydroelectric dam at Niagara Falls. Oh yeah, I remember that. That's when the electricity came on. So what happened next? They started getting shocked, or as we say, kissing the electric wire. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more fun videos. A parrot and a donkey are flying on a plane. A flight attendant walks by, and the parrot grabs her but cheekily. She turns around, looking annoyed, and warns him not to do that again. The parrot convinces the donkey to try the same thing when she passes by next time. So, when the flight attendant walks by again, the donkey grabs her butt. She turns around and says to both of them, "If you do this one more time, I will call the captain and have you kicked off the plane." However, the parrot persuades the donkey to do it once more. When the flight attendant walks by again, the donkey grabs her butt again. The flight attendant, now furious, calls the captain, and they are both kicked off the plane. As they are falling through the air, the parrot asks the donkey, "Hey buddy, do you have wings?" The donkey replies, "No, where would I get wings?" The parrot laughs and says, "So why you acting all smart when you don't even know how to fly?" A monkey is telling a joke to another monkey. A policeman comes into the station completely naked. Everyone looks at him strangely. The captain calls him into his office and asks, "Why are you naked, you idiot?" The policeman replies, "Boss, I was at a brothel." The captain says, "Well, I went into a room. She took off her clothes and lay down on the bed." The captain asks again, "So what then, idiot?" The policeman says, "Nothing, Captain. She told me to get naked, so I did." The captain asks, "And then what happened?" The policeman says, "She told me, now get to work, and here I am." And then the monkey telling the joke says, "And we are the ones they call monkeys." God calls Trump, Putin, and Zelensky for a serious meeting. First, God says to Trump, "You fat, if you don't stop starting wars, you see this green button. I'll press it and America will disappear." He leaves, looking worried and upset. When Putin and Zelensky see him, they ask, "What happened?" Trump answers, "Don't ask me, it's terrible." Next, God talks to Putin. "You bald, if you don't stop bombing Ukraine, you see this red button. I'll press it and Russia will disappear." He leaves crying. Trump and Zelensky ask Putin, "What happened?" Putin says, "Don't ask me, it's terrible." Finally, God says to Zelensky, "You, scammer and beggar, if you don't stop stealing while begging for help, you see this blue button." God warns, "Press it, and there will never be Ukraine." Zelensky asks God to repeat what the button does, several times. Outside, Trump and Putin ask him, "What happened? Why are you laughing?" Zelensky replies, "While God was repeating, I stole the blue button from him." A wife has been sick in bed for a whole month. She's not eating, not drinking, just barely surviving. Her husband is worried and doesn't know what to do, so he takes her to the doctor. The doctor examines her and then asks the husband to take his wife out to the waiting room because he wants to speak to him privately. The husband, nervous and scared, takes his wife out and waits. The doctor comes out and says, "Listen, your wife is fine. There's nothing physically wrong with her. The only medicine that can help her now is if you have sex with her, at least 2 or 3 times a day." The husband is shocked but thanks the doctor and leaves. Back at home, the wife asks, "So, what did the doctor say?" He sighs and replies, "Look, you're not going to die, but there's no cure." Do you know how the Grand Canyon was formed? No idea. A Scotsman lost a penny and started digging until he found it. A cop pulls over a driver who's clearly drunk and high. Cop, your documents, please. Driver, slurring, documents? Bro, I don't even know where I am. Cop, annoyed. Do you know who I am? Driver, man, this is wild. You don't know who you are, and I don't know where I am.
A guy is walking down the street and passes by a gate that says the talking dog. Curious, he goes inside the yard and finds the owner. He asks, "Is it true you have a dog that talks?" The owner says, "Yeah, he's right over there." The guy walks over to the dog and asks, "Hey, are you really the talking dog?" The dog replies, "Yep, that's me." "What's up?" Why the surprised look? The guy says, "Wow, this is unbelievable." "So, what do you do?" The dog says, "Well, when I found out I could talk, they sent me to the CIA. I did all kinds of spy work, listened in on conversations, stopped attacks, you name it. It was exhausting." The guy asks, "Wow, where else did you work?" The dog answers, "After a while, they moved me to the airport. I'd walk around, sniff suspicious bags, keep an eye out for shady characters. Years of hard work." The guy says, "And now?" The dog says, "Now I'm retired. I work privately for some rich folks and the mafia, eavesdropping on their associates and whatnot. But I'm getting old, so I'm just chilling here now." The guy, amazed, says, "That's incredible. How much do you want for him?" The owner says, $20. The guy, shocked, says, "Only 20? Why so cheap?" The owner replies, "Because he's a liar. None of that stuff is true."